All right. Back from the break.
Yes, sir.
So, as we talk about these issues that have a lot of weight to them and are very heavy, it's a sort of a natural transition for us to talk about and communicate our journey. How did you even make the decision to get into therapy?
For me, it was obviously multiple things just going on in life. And then I remember feeling like...
What year was this, by the way?
This was 2019.
Okay, 2019. So pre-pandemic.
Yep.
Okay.
Pre-pandemic.
Yep.
And this was like mid 2019 too.
Okay.
So I was just going through a lot. I went through a big breakup, and it was like I felt like I was starting over. Work was going terrible. I just was clashing with my manager. And I just didn't. It was one of those moments where I asked myself, like, what are you here for? Like, what am I doing wrong? Like, and I was in this phase of my life where I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew, okay, I want to learn how money works, so I'm gonna go work at the bank. I don't know what bank. I don't know nothing. I just want to go learn the bank. I had just finished selling cars, and I got to a point where I was asking myself those questions, and I couldn't figure it out. Like, bro, what am I doing wrong? What do I need to do? And I started to feel like I was losing myself, right? And it was like I started to get scared because I'm like, this is one of the few times I've ever got to this point where I'm losing myself and I don't know how to find myself back. So I start getting scared, like, damn, am I about to lose? Am I about to go insane? I'm about to go be crazy, like, 5150 crazy. And I didn't want that to happen. So I was like, I got to figure something out. So I didn't know how to get into there. I told my mom first, she didn't know, I didn't know. So I asked, nobody really around me knew. And so I think I asked like somebody at work or my manager or something. So I'll go through your health care. So then I ended up at redacted. I'm not going to say the hospital, but it was like a therapy session and I'm in there and it was the first one and I didn't have any, I didn't know what to expect. I just knew what I saw on movies and TV and stuff like that. And, I walk in there, it's literally what I expected, a couch, them sitting there. And, it's just like, so tell me what's going on. And it was just like, I'm talking. And it's like the more I talk, it just seems, I'm a people reader, right? So I just could see the person just getting less and less interested. And I just thought to myself, like,
that sucks.
I'm like, man, I'm never doing this again.
That's a shitty experience.
You could just tell that she's here clocked in. Yeah. And I get it, you know what I mean? But like, I didn't need that in that moment. That just wasn't for me. So I walked away like, man, I'm never doing this shit again. So this is actually early. This is how the beginning when this is like, so this is like early 2019, like around April, May, around there. So then April, May, June, somewhere around there. And then when I actually got into therapy, it was and it's just the universe, right? Kind of you and I meeting, it's just always just happens. And so my mom is a hair stylist, has been doing it for a very long time, and one of her clients who always just checked in on me, when I was away in college. So pretty much, how's Justin doing it? And, she would send me money. She would just do
like
a
godmother,
sweetheart.
auntie,
And the funny thing is, like, we didn't even. I had never met her at this point. I had never even met her.
Oh wow.
Yes.
So this is really
my
love
first
for
time.
your mom.
Like at the event, I'm walking past her and didn't even realize it was
That's
her.
crazy.
And I'm sure I might have met her, but when my mom been doing my hair my whole life, it's like a lot of. I meet people.
But it's really about her love for your mom as much as anything.
Right. And for some reason, something drew her to me.
Sure.
Obviously, a young black man probably doing well, going to college, basketball, all those things. So she would always just check in on me.
That's dope.
And this time, she was like, oh, how's Justin? My mom was, he's, going through some stuff, hit a rough patch, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, oh, well, my daughter's a therapist. Maybe I can connect them. And then I met my therapist, and it was like, immediately, bro, within 5 minutes, she just made me feel so comfortable. I'll never forget, bro. I'm getting emotional now. I'm on lunch at work, in my car, bawling my eyes out, talking to this lady for the first time ever. And then it was crazy because she told me, she was like, I'm not taking any more clients right now, but I can meet with you sporadically when I have openings and stuff like that. So that's kind of how it started. Didn't charge me $1.
Damn.
Didn't charge me $1.
It's a black woman.
Yep, black
woman.
So then that went on for a little while. And then I started doing this thing called like self-therapy. I started using my I started finding different ways to get that same thing, because her and I didn't meet consistently enough at that time, but she was the one who made me feel comfortable with therapy again.
Yeah.
She like mended my relationship with therapy.
Right.
Even though I didn't have a bunch of bad experiences,
One is all it takes. That's all it takes, bro.
The one that kind of, pushed
That's
me
all
away.
it takes when you
Shout out to
yeah, for real. When you in need and then somebody, you have that negative experience, that's horrible. That's a beautiful story, man.
Yeah, right.
That's a beautiful story. I'm so glad that you found it. That's really the village stepping up to pick somebody up, man. And
that's interesting, right? Because without my mom's relationship with, I don't want to say names, so without my mom's relationship with her client, and then her client's connection to me for whatever reason, you know what I mean? Like I said, if I'm guessing, it's because young black boy going to college, and my mom, she brags about me, which I appreciate, obviously, but her feeling it in her spirit to want to not only support me when I'm away, but then the moment she sees me down, she's like, how can I help? Right. No, those are the angels in our life that sometimes go unappreciated. And remember, I was telling you the other day, we were talking, it was like being that guy in high school to where your whole family and your village is being so supportive because of what they think you're gonna be, and
what that means for them.
Exactly. And then when they start to see that what they want you to be kind of being less and less, realistic realistic to happen, they change. I'm not gonna say back off. They're the way they treat you change. Let's just say that. So to have somebody like this to come through for a time of me being down, what that meant to me,
incredible,
you know what I mean? And like I say, I don't tell her this often. I don't even talk to her often. But whenever I see her, or my mom, and she still asks about me.
That's awesome.
My mom, whenever I talk to my mom and she had just in there, blah blah blah, asked about you. Swear, bro.
That's dope.
And it's just like
that.
People like that are what make me optimistic about just life.
Right, and that's who we are in general.
Right.
So to have that, even though we don't experience it often, it does. It gives you hope that the world as we want it to be does exist.
And I know I'm hogging the mic.
Man, miss me with that, man.
It's like,
love hearing this shit. This is good shit.
When it comes to your purpose and what are we doing here, and like you said, just a person for the people, a person for my community. What I said, just that's when you're dealing with survivor's remorse. And you're wondering, like, why did I make it? Why did I make it? That's almost makes me feel obligated that I have to pay it forward, because that's my reason for being here.
It's so deep.
Like, why was I lucky enough to have this woman as my mom, who happened to pick this career, who happened to have this client, who happened to have this daughter, who happened to go into this trade that happened
to be open enough to bring you in and
not charge me, and that shit changed my fucking life, bro. Why was I lucky enough to experience that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that question, when I ask myself that, it's like, oh, bro, you have to go impact somebody else's life on a tremendous level.
No, for sure.
And
sure.
Like, you have to. And it's like, that's what you're here for.
Yes, the problem comes in you receive that gift and that's your response to it. But as both of us are experiencing, oftentimes that gift or that giving that we do results in something totally different.
So then you ask yourself the question, right? And you asked it earlier, and I battle with this often, as we know we both do. Who are you really doing it for? Because if it's for them, who cares what they do with it?
Right.
If it's for you,
right. Although
there is a line there, though.
And there also are different. Like, I've discovered this shocking fucking reality that you can literally change somebody's life, and they'll end up resenting you. And what I've also found out is it doesn't matter how much you give, it's never enough.
Right.
It's never enough, man. And I've experienced recently somebody who I have fed their whole family for over a decade, then fucking me over, man. And that shit is crippling, man, to your soul, man. Right. But
What about you, man? Were you
Yeah, no, that was it for that.
What about you? What got you into therapy? Was it a situation? Was it something happened?
Yeah.
Was it recommended to you? Like,
so, I've always been a very self-aware person. I've always been a person who challenges myself to address my issues. I obviously have a lot of mental illness in my family. When you talk about, especially on my father's side, him and others in his family. So I've always been like keenly aware that, there's some shit there. So I've always been like real focused on paying attention to that stuff. And I think I've done a good job. Like talked about the self-therapy thing. Mm-hmm. Music has been a massive therapy in my life. Hip hop specifically has been my biggest therapist for years.
More R&B for me, but
I know. Well, that's as Ice Cube said, "Do re mi," but I don't sing, motherfucker. But no, R&B too, all genres, but hip hop specifically because of just, the lyrics of hip hop have just really inspired me in different ways. But in terms of getting into therapy, it happened. Me and Liam's mom broke up. Our marriage hit a real rough spot, and we were doing couples therapy. And in that couples therapy, I really, discovered that some of the things I was looking for, why she couldn't provide them, it wasn't her fault. She didn't know how to. Nope. She just didn't know how to. And so that really made me be like, oh shit, this therapy shit, like, you know what I mean? Like it really addresses, it really helps you see certain shit. And so in the course of that, I'm realizing I got a lot of shit built up. And so I asked that dude, I was like, hey, I want to maybe do individual therapy. And he said, oh, I think that'd be great. But kind of like your situation, I was like, yo, man, me finding a therapist is going to be challenging. Like for you found a black woman, right? But like for me, knowing what you know about me, do I do a white person, a black person, like a mixed, like my background is so unique and so gully, and my life story is so fucking raw and uncut. You know what I mean? And I'm, as a judge once described me, I'm very earthy with my language. So I was like, always kind of like, well, who the fuck could I even find that would be able to even understand me or not be like tripped out by me? So I expressed that to this dude, and he's like, I think I got a guy. So he hooks me up with my boy, who's my therapist now.
Wow.
And this is where we have to check ourselves, right? So I go meet the dude, and he's like a old hippy dippy looking Berkeley type white dude.
Right.
And I'm like, this motherfucker ain't gonna understand me. Well, after one session, like, I don't know if he was just entertained or what, but it was just like, okay, this is my guy, yo. Cause I could feel that there was no weirdness. There was no like that first, or and he was engaged. And so that we did our thing. And I've been using him off and on for the past 3 or 4 years. But that's how it came about. So I bring this story up for a couple reasons. One, it came out of a couple situation. Then it changed to an individual session, but the person that was recommended to me, by their appearance, I didn't think that I made a judgment. And so for everybody else out there, like, the important thing is to actually do it as opposed to just, looking for the perfect one that you think it's going to be, because it might not be that.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have the misconception that therapy is going to give you the answers to life.
Right.
And you and I both know that that's just not the case.
Nope. Nope. It's no magic.
How would you describe what therapy does for you and how it helps you get through? Like, if that makes sense?
No, it totally makes sense. And it is not. Like, it's not the magic fucking elixir.
Right.
It's not the fucking, you go and then your life is fucking, it's really just it's an emotional and mental exercise with a trainer, basically, right? It's somebody there who you don't have any emotional attachments to, right? Because you can talk to your people, but you have a relationship with them that has bias, resentments, even if they're small ones, judgments, and just the dynamic of y'all relationship. There's positions and there's all kinds. So that oftentimes is why just talking to our loved ones, it could be helpful, but it doesn't get us to where we need to get, right? So I think therapy it's really just an opportunity to all of us are wounded from our childhoods and from relationships and life and all of that, and we carry that with us, right? And we don't deal with that, and therapy just allows you to work with somebody on getting to that in a structured, disciplined way, to cover that stuff, and then they give you some tools to think about it. And a real good therapist will challenge you. I mean, I think that's maybe the one thing with my guy that I wish he would do more of sometimes is challenge me. And then I call your ass and you fucking challenge the shit out of me. But like, you do need that, right? Yeah. Like, that's what I miss. I've told you this a million times about my brother, Vino. We would talk and he would listen to me the whole time and be hella quiet. And then he'd be like, oh, you doing that shit again. You know what I mean? You're doing that shit again, right? You need that sometimes. But like, even with Vino, sometimes I'll be like, motherfucker, fuck you, you doing that shit again. And that's where the relationship gets in the way, where you don't have that with a therapist. Because that therapist hasn't been with you for life. So when they're calling you on your shit, you might be more open to it.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I agree.
What about for you? Did you think it was going to be the magic elixir that just made everything okay? What were your expectations going in, if we can add that question to the...
That is a good question. I didn't know what to... Well, the first time, I didn't know what to expect.
Right.
I just didn't know what this was going to do. I just... So
did you think that was going to be the magic? Did you think there was going to be some magic in that one?
The first one?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
You didn't know? Okay. Because that would have made it even more fucking...
Yeah, I didn't... So
fucked up.
So this is what it was. So... Because I kind of left this part out of the story because I don't want to be too long-winded, but it was like, it's interesting because it was around the time I was starting my podcast, right? And then I would watch... What made me start my podcast was I would watch interviews. I don't even remember what got me in. Actually, my boy Free, now that I think about it, my boy Free, we went to college together. He's a close friend of mine, lives in Vegas now. I would always go to his dorm. He would come to my dorm. We just would kick it. And I would always go to his dorm and he would be watching like interviews on YouTube. And then it'll just be a random like rappers. Like he was a big smoker at the time. So it was like Wiz Khalifa, all them people, Currency, Wale. So he's just like watching their interviews so sometimes I would sit there and watch it with him, and I just start getting interested in that shit. So then I started just watching interviews. So I would be watching The Breakfast Club all the time and Sway all the time, and I would hear certain people start talking about like all of these artists. Charlemagne was one of the first ones talking about how he was always in therapy and all this and that, and then you would hear the artists say, oh yeah, me too. Slowly but surely, it was like more and more people started talking about therapy.
Did that make you feel like it was okay?
It started making me intrigued because I'm like, well, damn, I'm struggling. Yep. So I'm thinking that at the moment, my problems are coming because I'm struggling. So then I'm watching these successful people with money and they're going through therapy. Right. So real. I'm like, I'm broke. I ain't in therapy. They rich. They in therapy. I need to get in therapy because I want to be wealthy. I want to be able to do whatever. That's my, that's what I aspire to be. And I think that was what first turned me on to therapy, and then that put it in my mind. And then as I started to go through more, I always started thinking about it, and I was in a relationship at the time, and I kind of mentioned it to her, like, man, have you ever thought about, going to go talk to somebody? And
individually, not as a couple?
Individually.
Okay, yeah.
Just her, as a recommendation. And, she ended up doing it. And then I was like, I realized that I was talking to myself, to her. Like I told you I do when we're having conversations sometimes. It's like, how you going to tell her to go get therapy and you need it? You know what I mean? You ain't never even did it before.
Right.
So then once that was a relationship I got out of. And then shortly after is when I started my therapy journey. So I didn't really know what to expect coming into it because I was scared. Like, I'm at rock bottom now. All right, fuck it. Let me go see if therapy can help. You know what I mean? If therapy can help me figure this shit out somehow. First situation, terrible. Second, was a match made in heaven. Thankfully, that has to be a unique story from a lot of people that I've talked to.
I think, especially for Black people,
right? Going to therapy, right? So for me, what therapy does for me is, I realize that it's not the answers, but it helps equip me with the tools to find the answers. And I think because it's all about perspective, right? So I could be going through something and looking at it this way, and then she's asking me, well, did you ever think of this, or did you think of that? Or so she's helping me. She's throwing me alley-oops to help me dunk.
So the tools are perspective.
Yes.
See, I think that's important for people to hear.
You're right. Yeah. You're right.
Because I just did it too. We talk about tools and people are like, what the fuck are they talking about?
Yeah.
It's perspective.
Yeah. So again, she's just asking me questions. Well, how did that make you feel? And these are things that I've never addressed. I feel the emotion, but I don't address the emotion. And she's pushing me to address the emotion. And at first, it was like our first few sessions.
Uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable ain't the word, bro. It was like I'm screaming.
Wow.
And she's just like, and I'm apologizing. No, let it out. And I'm just like getting frustrated. I could just feel it in my voice being stern. And it's like anger. And it's just like when you come out of it, it's like, oh, fuck. Like, you know what I mean? And that's what makes me, this is a side note, but that's what I'm scared. I'm scared to try shrooms. I've never tried shrooms.
Yeah, I ain't trying this.
But it's like what therapy did for me when it first hit was just like, but the weird thing about me in that was it unlocked something in me to where I don't want to say I don't need therapy, but I don't need it consistently.
I know what you mean.
I'm able to.
I know what you mean. That's the point. It's like a trainer.
Exactly.
Right? You work out with a trainer, then you don't need a trainer all the time.
Exactly.
You can keep working out, but you need it when you need it. It's interesting you say shrooms though. I don't know how we're doing on the camera, but you know that psychedelics are now a part of therapy.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Shrooms and Molly are,
Molly?
Microdose.
Right.
Like there's some people that have a hard time opening up.
Right.
And so what they're doing now with therapy is they're giving you microdose of these things to help people that are really closed off. It gets them to open up.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never
it's a
knew
big
that.
part of it's a big whole new movement of therapy right now. Some therapists believe in it, some don't,
Right.
but it's
That's
definitely
with like everything.
but it's definitely a part of it because some people just can't.
Yeah.
Some people are just that closed off for whatever reason. You know what I mean? But I think about us, and you talk about screaming and all that stuff, like, and that was my hesitation on getting into therapy. Like, and I haven't even really.
Before you finish, the crazy part about the screaming is, and I don't want to leave this out. It was like,
yeah, that's good.
She almost was telling me like I wasn't screaming. I just felt like I was screaming.
Interesting.
So it was more so like, yeah.
You're apologizing. She's like, you're fine.
Yeah, she's like, and I'm like, wow, I never really felt like that. And she was like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I just felt like it was like I was just on the phone because we were on the phone, and it felt like I felt like I was just on the phone with everybody who's wronged me throughout my life and whatever, and in any aspect. It was just like, I'm just telling them how it made me feel that and it was like something that you've never got to express, and now you can.
Now you can.
And it was like and I'm like, man, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to raise, because I'm thinking like, damn, I just scared this lady off type shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
And she was like,
you good?
You weren't even really raising your voice.
Isn't that a
You
trip?
were fine. And I'm like, damn, that's interesting.
It is interesting.
But go ahead. I'm so
no. That was really important because I think that really is perfect with what I'm going to say. Justin and I grew up differently, but we experienced a lot of the same shit. And we both, Oakland, Fillmore, we both saw shit normalized that had no fucking business being normalized, bruh. And still to this day do, but specifically as we was coming up, man. You know what I mean? And like that shit really fucked us up, bruh.
Yep. It's a fact.
That shit fucked us up, man. And I'm not gonna say I experienced more of that than you, but I went a little deeper into that other side than you did. You was kind of more Jason with the sports kept you out of it, but I went all in sports kept me out of it to a point, and then when I stopped playing sports, I just went all the way into it. And when we think about what we're carrying with us, because I know you ain't brought up a lot of that stuff in therapy, and I haven't either. Like, how can you? But that's where I just want to tell you, hopefully I don't break when I say this, but like that's where our friendship, our brotherhood has damn near saved me, bro. Because you know the life I live, and you know how hard it is for me to be my true authentic self around the people that are in the world. And what you've allowed me to do is talk about shit that I can't really talk about with anybody, even though we don't have years and years and years of history. Right. When I go to your people's house, I've told you this when we show up there, like it just feels like home. It feels like y'all, just the way y'all whole vibe is. That's the way it was with me and Vino and Jeff and Bay and Dorian and Ern P. That's how, like, it's damn near identical. You know what I mean? And just, you know, it's just really hard to look like me and be who I am professionally, career-wise, and not a motherfucking soul in that whole thing can even understand me at all, bro. And that's why I say the therapy is important, but your village is important too. And like with all I'm going through now, I'm not talking. I don't want to talk. My therapist's name is Dave. Shout out Dave. I don't really want to talk to him right now. I want to talk to you. I want to talk to my dear friend Courtney, who's a very successful attorney for tech companies and knows about corporate shit and just knows about me and knows about, shout out Courtney. I love you dearly. She's just a great, great friend. And my sister, Kelly, because she's got the legal background. My brother, Nate, you know what I mean, whose dad was our attorney. And like, you know what I mean? These are the people that's helpful for me to talk to right now. So it isn't always your therapist. Sometimes your village is better for you to talk to, but it's to have that combination and have those resources is really valuable. So I just want to say thank you for being that constant source of, you know, you'll say to me all the time, we're going to get through this together, and just.
Yeah, that's real. That is real shit.
To have someone just say, we're going to get through this together, man. I love you for that, bro, and I appreciate it, man.
Bro. That's I don't want to cut your wisdom, man, but you know, that's what makes me so appreciative of our relationship, is because it's like when you can meet somebody that quickly and just have that type of connection, it's like I'm not that open of a person, you know what I mean, to let people in that close to me and have my kids around them and all those type of things. And I mean, our sons talk on the phone without us, you know what I mean? Like,
do.
And it's just like, it's just a blessing, bro. And it goes back to like, how can I not be a good person to other people when I meet people like you? You know what I mean? Like, I would be a selfish asshole if I wasn't trying to be what you were to me to other people. You know what I mean? And now with that, we got to understand that we're going to bump into those people that just don't mesh with our personalities.
No, for sure.
In those relationships, it's like, again, you putting yourself out there, right? You could take it into dating. You could talk about business. You could talk about just platonic friendships, just allowing people into our space, because sometimes you have to try to have those conversations with your village and it could be toxic, you know, and it can have a negative.
But very few people have that, and I hope I do that for you too. Like, there's, when you see somebody you really care about struggling, and to say, you know, you're not alone, bro. Like, right. I'm here, you know, to me, I ain't never had nobody other than my fucking brothers that I grew up with say to me, we gonna go through this together. Right. Like, that shit really, that's why I just broke just now, because like, that's deep, bro. That's like, yo, you not alone in this, man. You know what I mean? So that's just, and I pledge the same to you, man.
Right, I know. Like, you, like I said, we have talks, deep talks on a regular. So it's like, you know, there's times where I call you and like, what's up? And then I just get to going. You know what I mean? Or there's times where you call me and it's like, what's up? How you doing? And you just get to going. Like, man, this happened, that happened. And it's like, because I think it's almost a therapist thing. That it's like a therapist relationship that we have with each other.
No, it is. It definitely is.
Because we've come from similar backgrounds and because we have similar interests, when I mean sports.
Sports is a big part of it.
Yeah, sports and music and wittiness and just shit talking that we do naturally with each other. Business, the business side of it, and just like where you were and where I want to be in that. And I don't want to say were as past tense, but you know what I mean? Like, just in that moment when I met you, it was just like, damn, this is a guy that's running a successful company. And I know he was a vital part of this company being successful.
Right.
That's what I want to be. You know what I mean?
Will be.
Right. So now when I'm having these conversations with you, and again, it goes back to the Justin where I'm watching these interviews and I'm saying, well, damn, he's still going through this. He's still going through that. Like,
It don't never stop, bro.
Even in his position. So now it's like, you know what? That put my battle, with the war paint on, because it's like, oh, you got to get ready, baby. This shit ain't gonna stop. Like, you gotta
stop.
But it's like with you, when we having those talks, it's me working on my jumper. That's what I quickly equated to,
Yeah.
right? It's like, all right, now when I know if and when I get to this point of hitting this hurdle, I know how me and P got through this together in that moment. So now I'm equipped with those tools to get through it if I ever need to, or if somebody else in my village or my kids or something. It's like you're me walking through this experience with you and you being so open and vulnerable with me through that is literally like me going through it through your lens. Like I'm just in your body watching it through your pulse, through your watching it through your vision, bro. And it's like sometimes I feel bad because it's like, fuck, I don't even know what to say.
I know.
Except
you're not what we're gonna do this together,
bro. That's it. That's all I could say.
You couldn't have said anything better, because we've also talked about this. There's a lot of people in my life who I'm not talking to about it because they offer just platitudes. Yeah. You know, for those that don't know, platitudes is just when somebody says something like, you know, oh, it'll get better. Or
those cliche things that they read off the memes on Instagram,
which, you know, their intentions are pure. They're not, but it's not helpful, because there's certain things that are so big, like what I'm in now. This shit ain't going away for a long time. Like, I'm gonna be wounded for a while,
and it's gonna be a roller coaster.
It's gonna be a roller coaster. You know what I mean? And there's gonna be days when I feel like I'm, you know, getting the better of it, and there's days. So when when you talk about showing up for somebody, right? You got to show up for them in a way that's helpful for them.
Yep.
You got to show up in a way that's helpful for them, and not everybody's capable of doing it. And that's why I say you have a gift, bro. Like that was literally the perfect thing to say. Because you don't have to understand it, but what you do understand is being alone. What you do understand is feeling like you battling that shit by yourself, man. Like all you got is your own individual sword. Yes, I said sword. You know what I mean? But to know that somebody else is right there with you, you know what I mean? Even if they can't fight in that battle because it's not their arena, where if you down on the motherfucking ground, you know what I mean, they gonna come run over and pick you up and dust you off and love on you and send you right back out. You can't fight this battle with me.
Facts.
But when I come back from the battlefield bloody and bludgeoned, you gonna love on me, pause, and you gonna send me right the fuck back out there and say, brother, go out and kick some motherfucking ass.
That's such an interesting thing that
Come
you
on,
just
man.
said, because it's like when you think about that, bro, having that person, whoever it may be, and a lot of the times there's multiple people in just different capacities, right? But to speak to you and I's what I realize what we do to each other, and just to use it as a sports sports reference, it's like it's almost like you say, we go out in the court, on the field, whatever you want to call it, come back, and then we kind of bounce the game plan off of each other. And then we go out, we go back out and come back and readjust. Because a lot of the times it's like, man, why am I feeling like, why you think I'm feeling, or what do you think this could mean? Or, you know what I mean? And we're helping, again, it's problem solving, right? It's like, how do we figure this out? Or what could this mean? Or what could this person be up to? Or what, you know what I mean? And we literally, that's the majority of our conversations about, so we're literally helping each other navigate through this, you know. And this was going on before this recent situation. So it's like, that was the beauty of it, is we already had, like, you know, skin in the fight. And I just think that it's a blessing for the both of us, because it's me learning with you. And then, like you say, I've been there. I've been in my most vulnerable moments and felt like, fuck, after everything I've done for everybody around me, I feel, how the fuck can y'all allow me to feel alone? Y'all don't see me over here hurting?
Right.
How could y'all
and we come from a world where that's just what it is. Like that, you know, we talk about it all the time, but like, if you show vulnerability around a bunch of wolves, you in trouble, bro. And that's why it's, you know, and I think the sports analogy is great. And I think that's why we are the way we are. I mean, your closest bonds to this day, well, maybe not, but I think your closest bonds probably started from sports, right?
Yep, most of them. And
the same is true with me. When I talk about Denfield, when I talk about Sean Bay, Vino, Jeff, we all played in a dynasty in San Francisco. You know what I mean? Like, that's where we all come from, Sacred Heart. Yep. Everybody who knows San Francisco knows about the Heart. That was a motherfucking, like, we was like Duke, North Carolina type shit. Yo, we ran the motherfucking city.
That's funny.
You know what I mean? So, but those bonds were formed from competing together and what sports gives to you. I mean, Justin is not even that into sports anymore, really. Like, I'm way more into sports than he is, but
which is so. Everybody finds that so interesting.
But I think you went longer with it, so it wore you out. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you saw the hypocrisy. You played D1 ball, so you saw the worst side of sports. You played it before NIL.
Right. I can't wait to tell the world break down my relationship with basketball.
Yeah, no,
like, I want to make that a big thing.
Well, that's coming up
in
the next episode. But yo, that's like sports gives you a lot of gifts in terms of interpersonal relationships. Yep. Well, not for everybody, but it does for a lot of people. You know what I mean?
It depends on who you are.
It depends on who you are, but there's so many beautiful, you talk about a cause greater than yourself, accomplishing something as a team. There's nothing better, yo.
Yeah, so fulfilling.
There's nothing better. I mean, y'all took it senior year, right?
We lost it.
You took it junior year.
They took it. I wasn't on the team.
Okay, so senior year, but it was you went to the championship.
Yep.
Okay, so even then, even going,
we won a lot of shit, bro. We won a lot of shit.
Going to a championship is still like, even if you lose, you pretty much. Maybe there's one extra lesson you get if you win the whole fucking thing, but you still get those lessons. You know how I look
at that, bro? It's interesting you bring that up. You know how I look at that, honestly, is because sometimes people make that joke, right? Like, oh, y'all lost it your year when you were there, and it's like, in the grand scheme of things, right? The grand scheme of my whole basketball career, that was just one game.
It's just one game. It was a big game.
It was a huge game.
It was a big game.
But it's like, when I walked out of that arena, do you know who called my phone first?
Who?
The head coach of the Division I was going to play at.
And said? He
was at the game. He and his wife was cracking jokes on me because we got beat pretty bad.
Okay. Oh, you got blew out.
Yeah, but we played terrible. But that instantly put a smile on my face because it's like, I wanted a ring so bad. I wanted to say I was a state champ so bad. Right. But I won in life ultimately.
Okay, but wait a minute, that was state title.
Yeah, that was the state championship.
But you won the league.
Oh yeah, that wasn't even
and you won
NorCal.
Yeah,
that's a state championship.
So okay.
Yeah.
That's extreme, bro. Like, so you did have a championship season.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So you experienced that.
Yeah.
But the point that you're making is, It isn't the score in that final game. It's the journey with that group of brothers to get there. That's the fucking good shit. That's the shit that lasts forever. And the fucking score of the game is immaterial.
And like you said, I was at, like, the other person in the backcourt with me is my best friend to this day. One of my best friends to this day. We just was on the phone yesterday, literally texting this morning. You know what I mean? Like, and he's still playing.
Yeah.
And then one of my other
that's what we went to go see.
Yep. One of my other teammates is my god brother. You know what I mean? And we grew up playing together. So to experience that moment with him, Will and I grew up playing against each other, but we've been inseparable, kind of the same things. We had first period together. We walked in. He saw me. He was like, "Oh shit, you really came?" Because I was supposed to pause. I was supposed to transfer every year of high school, but I finally made the move
to Mac.
Yeah. Nobody didn't believe me. I was working out every summer. I worked out there anyway.
And did y'all play Rebels together?
No, we always played against each other.
Oh, he played Soldiers?
No, he played Dominators, which was like a West Oakland team.
Okay.
I played Rebels against him, and the Bulldogs first, then Rebels. But me and Damon Powell.
But isn't that fascinating how even competing against somebody gives you bonds that are crazy?
Well, that's the dope part about, again, sports is our hoop, and it's not like this anymore, at least I don't think. My hoop generation is like a fraternity, bro. It's like,
it's the same way in the city, bro.
Like, I didn't have to join a frat in college.
It's the same way in the city, bro.
I'm in group chats with a bunch of them, and it's literally, the age range is like from a couple people older than me to most people younger than me. And, you know, it's like they looked up to us watching us play, and then when they got older, them was our little brothers that we went to go back and support.
And that's what we had on both sides of the bay. And this school, I'm talking about Sacred Heart. Yo, it was the exact same thing.
Yep.
We had 4 classes from 4th to 8th grade that for the whole time lost a total of 4 fucking games.
That's crazy.
4 games, bro. And
That's
one
crazy.
class lost 3 games. Our class lost 1 game, but 2 other classes didn't lose a game.
Yeah, that's crazy.
From 4th to 8th grade, bro.
Yeah, that's wild.
Now that's just little league or whatever, but still, that tells you how, like, we had, and all the ballers that came out of there to this day. When I see Al G, when I see fucking whoever the fuck it is, you know what I mean? You see them, and we have that Sacred Heart bond.
Yeah.
And this is when the city had a basketball scene, you know what I mean? But we ran that motherfucker, man. We showed up on the court. We was 20 points ahead. We was blowing motherfuckers out.
That's dope.
With the fucking blue and gold UCLA colors, man. You know what I mean? It's just little school in Fillmore, bro.
You know what? You know why I think this is gonna be good, because it's dope how we could be in such a deep conversation and it ties into us telling each other stories of just like, and it's usually sports.
But that's what made us.
Right. Right.
And it's not about the sports. It's not about how we dominated and would have dominated here or in Oakland.
Right.
I'm going to say that again. We would have dominated here or in Oakland.
I'm going to let you say it because you don't even believe it. You don't even believe it.
How did the last Oakland-Frisco game turn out?
Oh, my God, bro. Technically, the last one they just beat them. They beat them.
When?
In the Oakland Pro-Am. They actually beat Jerry.
Jim, my boy Jim, shout out Jim.
Bro,
He's still hurting off that loss, bro.